Hello, I'm Philip Stoten. I'm here at APEX 2019 on the SCOOPstudio, and I'm joined by three gentlemen to answer the question, is CFX working for the industry? We've got Michael Ford from AEGIS, François from Cogiscan, and of course David from IPC, who probably functions on CFX by now. It's how you connect with the rest of the world. You've got a huge demonstration of how it's functioning upstairs. Tell me a bit about that.
Well, we have a very active committee who continues to challenge us to promote the standards, both the CFX standard as well as the combined Hermes and CFX standards, how they work together. So we actually had this show 2 manufacturing lines, and we are building assemblies. There are completed assemblies at the end of each line. I was happy. I took pictures. I'm going to tweet them this afternoon. And we've come very far in the last couple years. We just published the 2 standards, or actually I haven't even finished publishing them. They both passed a vote in January, and we're getting ready to release them. And it's great to see companies implementing these, and the ability for us to show these standards working on the show floor at APEX.
Yeah, and I look at your job, David, and sometimes I think it's like herding cats, and sometimes I think you're like the father of a whole bunch of errant children that have all got different agendas. You've managed to pull all them together. That's been a real success for IPC.
Well, I think I'd like to say that I had a lot to do with it, but I also think the end customer had a lot to do with it. And actually, I think people can see that this will end up helping them. If we're really going to get to smart factories, this kind of thing, CFX, Hermes, need to exist for better tools, feedback loops, all the exciting stuff. I think the next 2 years are going to be fascinating as we see the foundation. Now, like I've been saying to people, the foundation is now built. Now let's build the house.
Yeah, and that's kind of interesting, François, when I look at it from a Cogiscan point of view, because you've always been in the business of connecting these things together. But the job now is to put a layer on top of that and to actually figure out not just how to connect things, but how to get value.
Yeah, of course, the perspective that we have is maybe slightly different from the sense that we've been around for 20 years doing connectivity and smart factory projects, if you like. Before it was called that. So obviously, we look at CFX and other initiatives as a great sign that this is picking up in terms of the people understanding the value of these types of technologies, what it can do for their business. So that's great, and we welcome these new developments as well. And we have to be involved in them because ultimately we have to allow our customers, the end users and the equipment vendors, to connect into their customers' ecosystems. So whatever protocol they use or whatever standard or proprietary protocols, have to make this work at the end of the day. So so that's the perspective we have on this.
Yeah, and part of your business model is collaboration. You work very actively with all these other companies. One of the things that you said, you've been doing this for 20 years. It sometimes feels that you've been waiting for the industry to catch on and catch up to bring all this connectivity to you. But working with a whole bunch of different suppliers is something that's kind of in the DNA of your business.
That's correct. It's more than technology. It's about people also at the end of the day. So you want to be able to establish trust relationships with different companies and different individuals to be able to share information. Sometimes there's competitive considerations and so on. So you have to be able to work through that, obviously, to achieve, again, whatever the customers need to be done.
Yeah. So, Michael, have people managed to put their competition to one side and get to a co-opetition kind of model successfully? In the CFX process, but also in terms of the next stage, what we can generate from that.
Yeah, it's been a real fun ride, actually. I've learned so much as part of this process. I mean, I've been in the industry now 30 years, and I thought I knew everything. How wrong was I? When we were looking to define the actual content of the messages, which go into some quite technical detail from all of the different vendors' processes. And when you see that there are 2 or 3 vendors of the same type of machine talking to each other, debating about the merits of what should be there and how it should be expressed, there was never a falling out. There were never bad words. Everybody believes that CFX is for the industry.
Yeah.
You know, it's made by consensus in the industry, and it's made for everybody to benefit in the industry. Machine vendors creating their own native content that they are in control of. It's completely fully featured and fully detailed. It really is a unique standard that we've created here.
Yeah, and David, you talked about the your excitement moving forward of what can be achieved. It literally is that foundation, and now as you say, it's building the house. Where do you see that going, and what's the role of IPC? Are you kind of job done, leave them to it, or are there more layers of work that you have to do?
Sure. So at this point in time, we're going to take a break for a couple weeks, and then we will start version 1.1. So in the goal of the standards development, we said at some point in time we have to set the base, the 1.0 version. How many messages, recognizing that says, oh, I'd like a message to do this, I'd like one for the, we have the entire manufacturing chain and a little bit beyond, even rework and repair, and that want to come in and say they can see how they can play. So we had to fix it and say, okay, we're going to go this far, we're just going to fix these and come to consensus on those. So there is version 1.1 that is got a series of messages already identified that have to be debated, and then even more challenging. So I asked Michael about this the other day. He said, we got a 1.2. I go, okay, why do you need 1.2? Because some of them had identified that people said, this would be great, but that's going to take a lot of discussion and work, 'cause probably complex. So we got 1.1, 1.2 to go in. Other part, at least for my role and where IPC's role, is to promote. I'm looking to get to build awareness. The more companies know, the more companies participate, the easier it is for people to work together. So we will continue that role in addition to trying to do demonstrations like we did on the show floor.
Yeah, and Francois, that kind of participation, whilst it's essential from the equipment vendors and essential from all you guys in the software ecosystem, it's way more essential at an EMS and an OEM level. What are you seeing there from them in terms of feedback and saying, okay, how do you help us get CFX ready? How do you help us match our communication standards?
If we talk to our major end user customers, they have I'm still trying to understand exactly how to integrate new technologies into their roadmap for the smart factory, right? CFX is one, but there's other standards, that are maybe not so focused on SMT also, IoT type of standards as well, different kinds of considerations. And of course, they have to look at the install base, right? Install base of machines, install base of MES or whatever systems they have in place. So all that makes it quite a complex challenge. I mean, the idea of standardization itself is great. Everybody will agree to that. But to put that into practice it brings us some challenges, and that's where we can help as well, to facilitate the transition from where we are today to where we want to be 5-10 years from now.
Yeah, and Michael, you have the standard in place, and we just finished a debate talking about the use of data in multi-site companies. So the idea of working in a bigger ecosystem and data being used across many sites. One of the things that came out of that was we actually need to define what a smart factory ready machine is. And I don't know if that's just a CFX enabled machine or there's something beyond that, because for me, smart factory machine has to read, it has to record, it has to relay information, it has to be able to react to information. There's a whole bunch of things. Is there a lot more work in terms of kind of industry definition, so we're all talking the same language?
There's a lot more opportunity that exists now at the layer above, because solution providers like ourselves, we need to set the example for our customers. I mean, they're looking to us in many cases to improve their factories, differentiate themselves against competitors. Maybe that's by making Industry 4 style decisions on the shop floor, or maybe it's to put information into a cloud, like a hybrid cloud environment where they can run some pretty amazing AI algorithms or whatever they'd like to do. So it's a solution that exists in layers. And when you're building a house, you've got to get the foundation right.
Yeah.
And so not only is CFX unique, as I explained, but from IPC, we're providing that software development kit so that, machine vendors, we've had one here who, implemented CFX within one day, within one working day. In fact, it was just a couple of hours. But it goes way beyond that. The machines that are, for example, functional testers. We have a software development kit now working with LabVIEW to be able to extend and extend and extend further and further and further across the factory, so that you can create a true digital vision of what's going on without the need for complex solutions. Then, once you've got that digital platform set up, the data you can use, you can trust, and it's available, and it's all detailed. So you can start to do, for example, more intelligent lean material management, more intelligent seat-of-your-pants planning, adaptive planning, taking care of changing things that happen in manufacturing that before people just used to argue about in a meeting and not come up with any answer. So we're exploring now, but it's a step-by-step exploration because at each step we need to provide benefit for the customer.
Yeah, and it's working our way through those stratas. What I do have to say, though, David, is it's a real compliment to IPC and the way IPC runs these subcommittees. And I know this is one subcommittee or one committee that's maybe got more publicity than quite a lot of the others, because it's kind of, you've been doing this in the spotlight a little bit, but it's certainly a good example of what IPC should be doing for the industry in as many areas as possible, and a great example of the work you do.
So there were a couple points in the process that I found eye-opening. The first one was started in Las Vegas several years ago when we had an enormous number, or almost 80% of the world's equipment manufacturers in one room. And I realized that they were serious about working together. And then the other piece that really surprised me was when a company managed to implement CFX in the cartridge of a hand soldering tool in a language which we weren't focused on in the committee. So that shows me that there's a strong desire to have this to work. So our role, I was to look for opportunities to punch through inertia. And when I went to I'd go to somebody and say, what's the issue? My customers aren't asking me. Okay, let me work on that. And the other one says, well, there's not enough people. Okay, so publicity became a big deal, and that's why we've done the things at the show with the banners and the tapes and the promotion. That's why I love to talk to get the word out to guys like you, Phil, so that we can help spread the word.
Well, I appreciate that, and how many good things start in a room in Las Vegas. That's good to see. Guys, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for being here, and enjoy the rest of the show. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.